Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 91 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on December 7th, 2021. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Or good morning, depending on where you're listening to this. Yeah, how are you doing? I'm doing well myself. I'm extremely busy, though, but doing well. It's closing in on the end of the year, so it's pretty crazy. I was looking at some news websites today just to, keep myself abreast of what's going on in the world. Never have I closed a browser window so fast. I might just not look at the news until 2022, man. I'm good. I'm all newsed up, all set. I don't even want to look anymore. Let's get positive here. I was speaking with Silencer Shop earlier this week, and they announced the eForm 4 thing. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about that, but they did announce that it's launching soon. I was going to get into that on today's episode a little bit, so I figured you guys should know. And some of you, you may ask me, well, why were you speaking with Silencer Shop? Are you a secret agent? No, Silencer Shop pitches in and they help me do this podcast. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. Yeah, they're my infrastructure of choice. They have grown quite a bit, and they continue to innovate. And kind of talk about that this podcast with regard to the eForm 4. You use the Silencer Shop system for the kiosk. It's really great. The electronic fingerprints in there, all your photographs, your biometrics are all stored encrypted. It's all electronic and encrypted there in their system, secure, and then they can use that to then facilitate the official forms that the ATF uses to transfer different firearms, whether that be a silencer or a short barrel rifle, things like that. Anything subject to the NFA regulation, National Firearms Act regulations. So it's pretty cool. Silencer Shop has made great strides in the efficiency required to contribute to the normalization of suppressed small arms nationwide. Frankly, it cuts down on errors when you use them. It simplifies the whole process. Money back guarantee. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors typically. Their error rate's like what? Like less than 1% compared with like a 40% error rate in the rest of the industry. Come on. It's not even comparable. So yeah, it's just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. It is. And secondly, if I don't blab about it enough, the J Situation Podcast is also sponsored by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward, dragging them, kicking and screaming, forward, one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It is based on true human sound perception. Okay, that's in section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard on pewscience.com. It walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencers, let's be honest. Everyone likes it. It's the best, I tell you. Everyone likes it. It's awesome. There are 7 parts. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read, and if you haven't dug into it because it's too much, it's fine. Go to section 5, check out the suppression rating. It's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear, and it's going to give a hearing-safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which they're tested. It's great. It's tied to human perception, guys. If it's higher, it's better. If it's lower, it's louder. That's it. Does something sound better or worse? Does something damage your ears less or more? That's it. It's awesome. It really is. I use it myself. I do. And you're frankly not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. So I encourage you to go check it out on pewscience.com. In section 6, there's really in-depth reviews that might be too in-depth for you. So if you go to section 7, there is a sortable database tool in the rankings. There's a table there, sort to your heart's content. And when you find something you like, it'll take you back to the reviews and you can peruse to your heart's content. Go wild. Now, as always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Your contact information and all test data will be held in strict confidence, unless, of course, you want to release it to the public, in which case PEW Science can help you do that if you like. You can support this podcast, PEW Science, and our testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And, if you're like, well, I don't trust that recurring stuff, Jay, I have a strict no subscription policy in this household. I say, that's fine. There's also a donate feature. You can go there on pewscience.com. On a few of the pages there's a donate function. You can give a little, you can give a lot, you can give it, or you can give nothing. Every little bit helps. And something that is free for everybody, it's spreading the word. You can rate the podcast a good rating there on the old iTunes stars and stuff like that. You can let the general public and iTunes know that silencers and guns are awesome. You can move one step closer to the normalization of suppressed small arms for the populace. That is the goal. When we achieve that goal, well, cats and dogs living together under one roof. Who knows? All right. Got 5 topics for you today. 5. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Is this going to be a long podcast? Possibly. Oh my gosh. You know what I just realized? I don't even have my notepad with me. I try to take some notes as I go here. 1 second. I got stuff falling over my desk. Get a note here. I like to scroll down my topics and the timestamps such that I can keep track of things. I'll write this here. Keep track of things and make little notes to myself as I speak with you so we don't get lost. Getting lost is bad. Okay. Topic 1, ATF eForm update. That's right. Why not? Speculate? Maybe. I might. Reliable information? I might give you some, possibly. Really, I also want to talk about what's going to happen to the Form 1 community. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. That's topic 1. Topic 2, 300 blackout. What in tarnation? At this point, I do feel like 300 blackout's a meme. I do. I can't, but it's not. It's not, but it is. It is, but it's not. It's like one of those things. I'm just not sold on it 100%. I'm so speculative. Speculative. I'm so speculative. No, I'm so skeptical. I'm using the wrong words. I'm so skeptical about it. I always, it's just, I don't know. I have some thoughts. I might be adopting it more seriously in this coming year. So that's topic 2. Topic 3, new sound signature review coming this week. That's right. What could it be? You'll literally never guess. So, well, probably you might. Topic 4, listener questions. I think if we have time, I'm going to get to these, and I think we will have time. Took a short break from them. I think we should dive back in. I think that's a wonderful topic that everyone enjoys. I know I do. And finally, topic 5. I just did a podcast with the CBRNart folks. Their show is called the Art and War Podcast. I am on episode 22 of their podcast. You can tune in and check that out. They're wonderful folks. It was a wonderful experience. So go check them out. Yeah. And thank you to the wonderful new PEW Science members. I just want to say that. Okay, so that's a list of the topics. There's 5 of them there. So we're going to get into topic 1 in a time of 8 minutes and 47 seconds. That's pretty good. 8 minutes? I shaved off a couple minutes. Okay, well, that could be a good omen. I'm going to jinx myself hardcore. Okay, topic 1. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The BATFE. The eForms. The update here. Yeah, let's speculate. Why not? It's fun. Forms. Government forms. Yeah, fun stuff. Do you remember the first government form you ever filled out? You probably don't. Yeah, I wonder what it was for a lot of us. I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, was it my library card? It's not really a government form. I guess it is. If you go to a public library, it's like a city thing. Is that considered a government form to get a library card? Do you guys know what library cards are? Some of you may know. But I remember when I got my first library card, I think I still have it, is laminated. It's, and it wasn't like laminated like the cheap lamination. This thing was like you could pick a lock with it, like a credit card type thing. It was awesome. It was like pretty solid. So anyway, I was thinking about it just because there's so many government forms we fill out all the time. And if you're familiar with silencers or NFA items, you're very familiar with forms. Mostly you're probably familiar with the Form 4 and the Form 1 from the ATF. Form 4s, they're used to transfer an NFA item tax paid. Okay, so that's a $200 tax transfer. Okay, and then the Form 1, that's used to manufacture an NFA item, right? So that's, again, tax paid. So that's $200 making tax you're going to pay to manufacture. You, my friend, become the manufacturer. When you file a Form 1, you pay your $200 making tax, you get that form stamped approved back. You get your tax stamp signifying that you have in fact paid that $200 making tax, and then that's your permission slip, and subsequently your get out of jail free card to make an NFA item. Other than the machine gun, frankly, because they infringed upon that right long ago for you. And a while back, you could do both of those forms as a consumer electronically. You could do eForm 4s a while back, and but now you can only do the Form 1 there as a consumer. So that's sort of how it's been running right now. Folks go and they file their Form 1s electronically. The so-called eForm system from the ATF. And then they're. What are the benefits? What are the benefits of being able to do that eForm? Well, cut down on the wait time. Yeah, things are digitized. So there's no paper to deal with. Is it perfect? No. Absolutely not. It's not perfect at all. But it's eForms. Oh, eForms. How we are cautious of thee. Never change. And by never change, I mean please change. Because you're slow and scary. And you're down on Wednesdays. No, for maintenance. They claim it's for maintenance, yeah. That's why eForms is down on Wednesdays. But, I actually do use eForms a lot myself. I do. I use it for Form 2 and Form 3 is what I do with the eForms for PEW Science. PEW Science uses the forms. You folks listening, you probably don't, some of you do use these forms, but most of you don't use the Form 2 and the Form 3. Form 2 is when PEW Science makes stuff. Yeah. Form 3 is when PEW Science transfers stuff. And PEW Science doesn't sell firearms or silencers, but it does deal in testing and evaluation for manufacturers and end users and law enforcement and military, things like that. So there's other forms too. That's why I use these forms. I'm not really making silencers and stuff, so I'll make firearms for testing, and I'll transfer silencers for testing, things like that. There are other forms too, and you guys probably don't even care about a lot of them, but the eForm system, the electronic form system, can do a lot. It can do Form 1s now. It does Form 2s and 3s. And you can do Form 5 and 6 and 9. You can even do that. Do you know what those are? It's like the Form 5 is Form 5 is actually used for a few different things. Some people think it's just for like a law enforcement transfer, but it is. But what a Form 5 is, what it really is, it's a tax-free transfer. And I sometimes have the opportunity to use it for PEW Science for certain things. And then, another thing is, the ATF, if they had their druthers, like whenever you send a silencer in to the manufacturer to get like worked on, whether that be, I don't know, the person who made it, or maybe like, I don't know, you send it to Echo Machine and like they machine it to be cooler. Like he's an SOT, he's an 0702. So he can legally take that silencer from you with a copy of your Form 4, just like to keep it on the up and up, and he can do the work on it, he can hold it for you and then return it. The ATF doesn't make him do anything more than that, but what they want him to do is they want him to have you file a Form 5 and transfer that silencer to him on Form 5. And they don't make you do that. It's not mandatory, but they recommend it. And that, my friends, is something that a lot of people don't know. And it is also really crazy. And I asked the ATF, I said, ATF, man, do I have to do Form 5? And they're like, no, you don't have to, but we recommend it. I was like, I'm not going to do it. If you tell me I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. If you tell me if you tell me I don't have to do something, well, then I'm not going to. Serious? So yeah, that's what Form 5, transfer to department, police departments too, and stuff like that. And then you got Form 6. Form 6 is it's an import form. Form 9, export form. So you can do import, export, stuff like that. And that's all in eForms. It's all on the website. ATF eForm website. I don't know if you guys knew that, but you can do all that through there. You, of course, have to have access to it. But the Form 4s are coming. The Form 4s are coming, so you'll be able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Yeah. So you can't do 4 right now, but theoretically, you'll be able to. So theoretically, in the next couple of weeks, they're telling us somewhere between the 15th to the 28th or so in December. There is something you should know that's probably going to happen. And right before the eForm 4 becomes live, I bet you eForms is going to go down. Now, it goes down every Wednesday anyway, but it's going to go down, and it's going to go down a couple days before. So be careful in your expectations and buckle up. So keep an eye on that. I think that's one of the telltale signs. I think that's going to be one of the telltale signs that it comes. Folks have been speaking about it a lot because they anticipate it will result in faster transfer times. I think that's what everyone is really... that's what the buzz is about eForms. And I think that once it is underway, it probably will do that. It probably will. And, one thing that I know that Silencer Shop is going to do is they're going to link it with their systems. So that's a pretty big deal. And so, you already have your biometric and personal information encrypted with Silencer Shop, right? Most of the people listening to this podcast probably do. I would venture to guess. I know not everyone uses Silencer Shop, but I would venture to guess if you're a Silencer consumer and you're listening to this, the majority of you are using the Silencer Shop dealer, or Power by dealer or something like that. And so you'll have that information in there. And then so Silencer Shop will be able to take that information and populate the eForms, which is cool, right? And so there's not going to be an intermediate step, because you know what happens now, right? With the Silencer Shop kiosk, everything's electronic and it all fills out your stuff electronically, but then it prints it out, and there's a QR code on the form, because Silencer Shop's awesome and they invented that. So there's a QR code on the form, but then it gets mailed, and you're like, really? And then someone unpacks it and looks at it. You're like, really? Scan this now? It's like, really? Why? So now, the change is for Silencer Shop. It's like, okay, well, the information's in the kiosk, and then it's in the form, and now it's not printed and then mailed and then unboxed and da-da-da. It's just in there, and then it's in there, and it's in the ether. It's in the eForms. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the big step difference, and people, they're speculating. They say, well, what is that? What's the speed up? What is the time delta between a print, a package, a mail, a receive, and unpackage, a sort, a file, a review, a scan, a file. You know what I mean? Like what is the difference? And I think it's significant. When you really think about it, I think it's going to be significant because you're really the logistics that you have just changed. I mean, think about it. Think about the efficiency of one form. That it would you would get like a net efficiency gain on one form, right? Well, do the math. Is it a linear increase in efficiency, or does it compound? Yeah. So imagine how many forms are being processed. You know what I mean? So I think like overall it's going to be a significant game changer. I think that it's going to be interesting. Do I know what the efficiency ramp will be? Like how long will it take the bugs to get worked out? No, I don't know that. I don't know. But what I do know is that Sancho Shop's going to do it pretty well. If there's anyone who can do it well, right? Like, it's going to be them. So I'm pretty excited about that. I honestly think, and this is just speculation, so this is just Jay talking here, but I have a feeling that some dealers are going to have an easier time depending on whether or not they are using Sancho Shop as distribution and the ecosystem. I think that might actually be a factor. That's my speculation, but hey, we'll see. But that's what I think so. I think that's going to be a factor, and that's the administrative stuff I wanted to mention. But then you got to start thinking about market. And that's really interesting to me. I've been thinking about it a lot, and people have been talking about it a lot. I did an Instagram story the other day, like a question solicitation, just to see what the community was thinking. And one of the questions I posed was, how big of a driver is this going to be to influence the Form 1 silencer market, right? A lot of people move to Form 1 silencers because they're impatient. They don't want to wait a year or so for a paper Form 4 transfer, so that they move to electronic eForm 1 because it's been around for a minute. You can be able to do eForms for Form 1. You get it done. You build the silencer faster. Yeah, it's the interesting thing. It's how if streamlined, electronic Form 4 transfers could be just as fast. So you got to ask yourself, what is the future of the Form 1 silencer game? I mean, you use Form 1s to make your SBRs and stuff, right? Sure, I get it. I mean, they're a valuable. They are a necessary government form to do things other than manufacture silencers. I get it, but for silencer manufacturing for the consumer, the Form 1 guys are often making Form 1 silencers to cut down on the weight. It's not always like that. I'm not trying to say that's the only reason, but a lot of the time it is. So here's a good question for you. If you had to wait the same amount of time for a dead air Nomad as you did a Form 1 silencer permission slip, and you still had to make the silencer yourself, and you had to hope it worked okay, and you had no warranty and no guarantees at all, wouldn't you just buy the Nomad? Or would you make your own? And I think the answer to that from some people is going to be, man, I'd make my own because I have specific needs and wants, and I want to save money, and I think I could do it, and F the man, I'm just going to make my own. It's going to be awesome. As you pay your tax down. F the man, right? Okay. But it's like, no, I mean, I get that. And I understand hobbyists, and I understand satisfaction of a job well done. I think, being inventive and creative is cool too. So I do think making your own silencers is awesome. But I think the majority of people to that question, they're gonna answer it as, dude, I'm buying the Nomad, and if I shoot this Nomad in half, Dead Air's gonna replace it, and they'd be right. You know what I mean? They'd be right. It's like customer service has always been a really important thing for silencer consumers that have been in the silencer game for a long time. Customer service is like, they know customer service is key. That's why Rugged is so popular, right? Because everyone knows that Rugged has some of the best customer service on the planet. Like, regardless of, don't even think about silencer companies, like any company. I mean, I'm not saying like they're the only silencer company with good service. I'm just saying I'm just picking on them because they're known to be ridiculous in how fast they are, in their turnaround times, and the quality of their products, and making them up to snuff when you need it again. Like they'll repair it and it'll be perfect. You know what I mean? So they're good. And that's a huge Form 4 benefit, right? You're not going to get that, like, what? You're going to build a Form 1 silencer and then break it, and then who are you going to return it to? Yourself. That's who. Well, at least you get to blame yourself for everything, which is a plus sometimes. So, yeah, the other thing, and I didn't really plan on talking about this because I think it might deserve its own episode, and frankly, it might be cool to have someone on from the industry to speak with about it. But one thing I was thinking about is the market as a whole and what this is going to do to demand for Form 4 silencers. I mean, how many people were just sitting there? I can't tell you how many people I have heard, just the layman or the layperson involved with firearms saying, I want a silencer, but I don't feel like waiting all that time. And, since they've never done it before, they just feel like it's a huge daunting thing, which it can be. Once you do your first one, you're like, yeah, I'll keep doing these. And you get some in the queue, and before you know it, you're always waiting on a silencer. See, that's how you pass the time as an NFA consumer. You just habitually buy things. But what if? What if it didn't take that long at all? Well, what is that going to do? Is that going to make the same people who are habitually buying silencers buy less silencers, or buy more silencers? And then what about the people who have not bought a silencer? Is that going to make them still not buy one, or is that more likely to make them buy one? You see? Like, how many ARs do you have? How long do you have to wait for the AR parts? Well, some of you back order a Knight's Armament SR15 or SR25. You back order it and you wait. What if you could get a silencer faster than that? What if the bolt carrier you just back ordered, you could get a silencer faster than that? What if, you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's getting to the point now where it's like, oh, our Form 4 silencer is going to become like accessories, like they used to be. Opportunity cost is changing. Yeah, opportunity cost is changing. Everything's changing. So that's why I think people are freaking out, and it's not the consumers. It's two people. Two parties. I think it's the manufacturers are freaking out a little bit. And if they're not, they probably should be. Because if this works, demand is going to get gangbusters. And then the other people who are freaking out is the people who sell silencers to consumers. Because how are they gonna handle it all? Like, I would be freaking out. And I don't sell silencers, so I have the luxury of like sitting in my ivory tower and, speculating for fun and entertainment. I don't have to, I have that luxury. I tell you what, if I was selling silencers right now, I would be in a pickle. I'd be in a pickle. So it's exciting, dude. It's exciting. And I think that if anyone can make this work correctly, I think it's probably Silencer Shop. I do. They've been working with the ATF pretty closely, guys. I mean, they're pretty tied in, dude. I know some dealers are too, but they're not Silencer Shop tied in. Okay, I know a lot of these really big dealers, like they tell you like they're tied in with the ATF. Like, okay, I know they are, but they're not Silencer Shop tied in with the ATF. Trust me. Silencer Shop, the level they're on is not, it's not the same. So, you got to realize the accuracy rate like, what did I say? I think I said it during the intro to the podcast. Like, their error rate's like less than 1%. Like, that means their accuracy rate's like over 99%. Meaning like over 99% of the time, the system that goes from you through Silencer Shop to the ATF is 100% correct. Over 99% of the time. And that's not just they fill it out electronically, so that makes it easier to get it right. No. There's error checking algorithms, dude. Silencer Shop has error checking algorithms. And you know what's better than a human at error checking? Computers. It's like, sorry, that's why we use them. So there's that. And then if you wanted to compare, I don't know if you know this, so this is why I'm saying it. Like you guys, and I'm sorry if you already know this, but you might not, because you know what else? If you compare the industry average, the accuracy on average, so all the other forms coming in, on average, the industry is like around 60% of getting it all right on the form, like from form to form. So that's just like now, like right now. Okay, so, and the reason I'm saying this is not to be like, oh, Silencer Shop's the best, they're going to take over the world. No. I'm just, be patient. Hear me out. So what I'm saying is, so right now, Silencer Shop, they're probably posed to be able to be the most successful at this, right? And they have an accuracy rate of over 99%. They have an accuracy rate over 99% right now without eForms. Okay? And they're already doing this. So now think about what's going to happen to demand if the 60% accuracy rate goes up too because of eForms. You feel me? So what's the throughput going to do? I mean, it's the faster you can do things and the more efficient you can do things, it's going to move the bottlenecks. The bottlenecks are going to move. And every little bit changes something. Yeah? So, where is the bottleneck going to go? If the bottleneck stops being the approval process, what is it going to be? Is it shipping? Well, I mean, no, probably not shipping. What's it going to be? It's going to be making the product. So what's the bottleneck to that? Well, you got materials. You got to order the materials. Okay, then you got to machine stuff. Then you got to finish it. You got to code it. You got to finish it, assemble it, QC it, code it, QC it again, pack it up, ship it. So which companies are poised to significantly grow like gangbusters because of this? And which ones are going to have to hire like 100% more people? because the demand's going to, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. It could be crazy. I don't want to be that Chicken Little, running around. Oh, the sky's falling. oh, we better do this and that. I mean, that's not for me to say, but hey, this is just what's on my mind. This is what I'm thinking about. All the little ins and outs here, like really like sponsor shops involved, and they have a pretty big role in all this. And it's not just them. There's a lot of other entities that don't even use the sponsor shop system. What does it mean for them? How are they going to deal with it? They don't have a kiosk. How are they going to streamline the entry? Are they going to lag? What are they going to create bottlenecks for their customers? Are they going to move that bottleneck in a different direction than the other bottleneck to go into the manufacturers for demand? You see? So there's all these little things that they're nuanced, right? And you go on these forums and you go on Reddit, right? I don't know if you guys been on the NFA subreddit lately? It's really interesting to watch the comments. I haven't been chiming in at all because I just like to watch it. And then like ARFCOM too. I go there and watch. And it's just interesting what you see the dealers talking about it. And then on social media too, you see the dealers talking about it. And you're like, huh. It's just interesting. It's interesting to look at their takes. So I think to myself, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people are being very cautious. I think that's important. So, yeah. I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool. So, yeah. I think overall, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you listening. I think if demand increases significantly, I think PEW Science is going to have more on its plate. But I welcome it. How else do you thrive but through challenge? So yeah. I think Sponsor Shop has the best chance of doing this, doing it well. If I was a betting man, yeah, I think I'd say that if I was a betting man. I'd put money on that. All right. All right, that's enough speculation. You guys are like, what is he talking about? Topic 2, at a time of 36 minutes and 2 seconds. 36 minutes. Oh, let me get a drink of water. Oh my goodness. I spent half an hour on that. Topic 2, 300 blackout. Yeah. At this point, I feel like it's a meme, but it's also not a meme. I think I might be using it more. I'm playing with it. Now I'm trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like with it. I'm not a big 300 blackout guy, but I am trying to be. So I can be more use to you. I feel like it's an experiment. It's a life experiment. Now I need to do. I need to send my Mostech barrel back to Mostech. They contacted me and I've been too busy to deal with it. I need to send it back because I need to get the port bigger. I need to get the port enlarged. I was thinking about drilling it myself. I might call them and ask them, you know what size are you going to do? Can I just do it? I'll mess it up is what will happen because I'm not a machinist. But I was thinking to have it sent back because I want it tapered. It'd be a lot cooler to me if it was tapered. But, I was going to use it as a test barrel. So I think I do need the gas port enlarged. I was thinking actually of getting a longer barrel than 7-inch, maybe an 8-inch or 9-inch for the supersonic ballistics. So I took the gun apart. I just shot it. I took the gun apart, and before I shipped the barrel out to Mostech, I wanted to see what would happen with the Hyperion thread adapter I have and the Knight's Armament free float rail adapter system I have that's short. Yeah, I have a short one. So I posted a photo with this podcast. It's crazy. You check it out. Okay, it has a grip pod on it. It's like you can't go wrong. It's like it's what a dope setup. I was just shooting it this weekend. 300 blackout's interesting. It's so quiet. It's so quiet when it's subsonic because it's basically like a pistol. And it's really handy when it's supersonic because it's in a small package and it'll pack a punch when it's supersonic. It's way different than a supersonic pistol round. 300 blackout supersonic out of a 7-inch barrel is a different ball game, my friends, than a pistol, like a handgun. It's not even the same sport. Okay, the amount of energy is significantly different. And so I was doing some testing this past weekend. And by testing, I don't mean sound testing or high fidelity testing. It was quick, just on a Sunday, actually. I went out real quick to kind of just pop off some rounds to understand something. And, anytime I have an excuse to shoot a machine gun, I do it. And so, a PEW Science dealer told me he couldn't get the Hyperion to cycle a subsonic 300 blackout gun when the half Nelson was cycling it fine. And I'm paraphrasing. There's actually a very complicated message he sent me, and it made no sense to me. We spoke back and forth. He's a great guy. He's a great dealer, actually, and he's actually helping me out with several things. He's a great person. And I told at first when he said that to me, I was like, okay, you're probably gassing it backward. I said you're probably overgassing the gun with Hyperion, and your bolts outrunning the mag. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like your bolt velocity is too high, and your mag can't feed it in time. That's what I was thinking to myself. I was like, that's why it's not working right. He said he opened the gas more for the Hyperion, and I was like, to get it to run better or something like that. I can't remember. I was like, no. I didn't understand that. It didn't make sense to me. So it concerned me though, because I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, is there something crazy happening in the Hyperion that I need to be aware of on 300 blackout? Let me do my due diligence myself. Let me take some ammo out and do it. So I packed up my truck. I grabbed a Hyperion, and I grabbed a half Nelson from the inventory, and I grabbed the 7-inch 300 blackout Mostec upper, and I grabbed my machine gun, and I went to my compound. Okay, so I went to my compound, and subsonically, I couldn't get either silencer to work on that machine gun with the OBC, because I just grabbed my machine gun. I didn't grab a different. Oh crap! You know what I think about now? Now that I think about it, in my container, I did have an H2 buffer and a spring because I had the Mark 18 stuff in there. Oh crap! Oh, but you know what I didn't? Oh, did I have the bolt carrier group? I don't know. You know what? I probably, I had my OBC in the gun, and I had, which has the carrier and the buffer that's shorter. And I had the H2. I could have used the buffer. Dang it. It's okay. I'll do it next time. But probably not, because the carrier's heavier, so it wouldn't have worked either. But yeah, so I was doing it, and I could not get either silencer to create enough back pressure to lock the bolt back on an empty mag with subsonic ammo on that barrel with the gas all the way open. The Hyperion almost did it. It almost did it. Like it locked the bolt back on the what is it, like when your bolt doesn't go? Oh yeah, it locked the bolt back on the magazine follower instead of the mag catch. You know what I mean? Have you ever experienced that, where it's like it's coming back and it doesn't go back far? It goes back almost far enough, so far back that the magazine follower, it gets in the way of the return stroke of the bolt, but not the bolt catch. When that happens, it's like almost gassed enough, and you need a couple of clicks. And I didn't have any more clicks, and so that was the Hyperion, and the half Nelson couldn't get even that far. And I was like, okay. I was like, so that right there was telling me, okay, so my theory was right. The Hyperion does have higher back pressure, but let me take some supersonic 300 blackout and go to town. And so I did. I used, what did I have? I had Wolf supersonic steel case, and I put that in the picture today, or tomorrow you'll see it, or this morning, or this is okay. In the future, you'll see it when I publish the podcast. You'll see some Wolf supersonic steel case. I confirmed that the Hyperion has higher back pressure and cycled the weapon more easily than the half Nelson did. It was easy to tell. I needed less clicks open with the Hyperion than I did with the half Nelson. Why is that? Well, higher back pressure with the Hyperion. It's longer dwell time through the port. That's why. The more gas impulse going back to the carrier, the OBC. So, if you're listening, sir, and I know I talked to you earlier this evening, I think you might have made a mistake, or something's wrong with your silencers. So, we'll talk again, or shoot me an email. We'll talk about it more. Be happy to talk about it with you. So I just want to let you guys know, a lot of people talk about, just get your gas port sized right, and then you don't need an adjustable gas block, blah, blah. But look at this. The problem I had. My gas port's not big enough. What am I going to do? All the adjusting of that gas block in the world isn't going to help me. I need it to be bigger than it is. The gas block's open all the way, and that gas block hole is way bigger than the port in the barrel, as always. So yeah, someone told me today they talked to a dealer. They wanted the dealer to build an 11.5-inch mid-length gas, and the dealer said he wouldn't build it for him because it wouldn't cycle. That's not true. My 11.5-inch mid-length gas machine gun cycles in full auto just fine without a silencer, dude. You just got to open the gas because the gas port's big. If the gas port's big enough, it will cycle the gun. Now, can you make the gas port too big? People have told me that if you make it too big, it'll shave the bullet as the bullet passes through it, and it could be bad for it, but I don't know what that limit is relative to bore size. So that's interesting, but I don't know. I do know that, people are saying that you can't run 12.5-inch mid and 11.5-inch mid. I'm like, that's not true. Why don't say that if you don't know it for sure, unless maybe they're using a barrel that they're not comfortable with having a port that big. That could be it. So anyway, so with this Mostec, when I told people this, they said, well, Jay, why didn't you just use like a normal carrier? I was like, yeah, well, I didn't have one with me. And I use the OBC when I shoot my machine gun because, frankly, it has a lot more benefits other than mass. It's equivalent in weight to a mil-spec carrier plus an H3, but I use it for a lot. It has an anti-bounce weight inside it too, guys, and it has a delayed unlock. That is an awesome bolt carrier. I love it. I would put it in all my ARs if I could. If I could find another one, I only have one. Some people buy OBCs, they find them somewhere and they send it to me to taunt me. I'm like, thanks, guys. I wish I had another one. Where are you getting those? Call Surefire or something. But Surefire probably won't talk to me, let's be honest. Not after everything else I've done. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. But people said to do the mil-spec carrier and the H1 or H2, and I was like, I should try that too. But I don't want to be limited to that. I want my port to be bigger. So I also got some feedback. Some people say the same thing was happening to them with some barrels. So I definitely think I'm not alone. I will let you know. Before I send the barrel back, I'm going to measure that port, and then when I get it back, I'll measure it again. I'll let you know what they change it to, so we can kind of have this out as a data point, because that's a 7-inch barrel, so that's a really good data point. We should know a minimum size, shouldn't we now? Because if you're wanting to use the OBC, how are you going to do that if you can't use enough gas? Now, do I also need to do that and then use a different bolt carrier and then drop the gas down to see like what the signature will be, like the signature impact will be? Yeah, I need to do that too. But so yeah, so, a 300 blackout's weird because it's a pistol length gas system. You know what's really crazy? It has more dwell time than my 11.5-inch mid. And it's like a tiny gun. And it still couldn't cycle with subs. With supers it did. And I did a mag dump with supers, and that was one of the most gassy things ever. I used SIG Supersonic 300 Blackout. It's good ammo. I had the Hyperion on it. So the Hyperion has definitely higher back pressure than some other silencers. I mean, it's not really meant for, a gun like that, that's, I just don't know. I don't know how you get rid of that gas without a higher flow rate silencer. I could have taken the end cap off, change it to the vented end cap, but I was just kind of experimenting. And it was kind of cold outside. I took a video and it looked gassy. I mean, I didn't feel like there was a lot of gas in my face. It didn't feel noxious, I guess would be the term. But it did appear gassy, didn't it? if you look at the video I did. So anyway, so that was my 300 blackout experience from this weekend. I went, I tested I troubleshot that system for that dealer just to understand it. The Omega metric was confirmed to be correct, or at least consistent, from 308 to 300 blackout subsonic, which is in my internal research so far is proving to be correct. The Omega metric is not flipping. Like so far, like the scaling is a little off. It's like it doesn't scale like you would think in some ways, but the relationships are holding true. The suppression rating doesn't, but the Omega metric does. The Omega metric relations should hold true. Now, whether or not they're super close or super far, that's different. But whether or not like a lower back pressure silencer and a higher back pressure silencer, the 308 testing is consistent. It seems to be even with subsonic 300 blackout in all the tests I've done so far internally. Okay, so I'm pretty pleased with that. So far, I have not, and I haven't finalized the Omega metric as gospel yet. Like the suppression rating is gospel. Okay, but the Omega metrics, it's still a research parameter. But it is getting there, isn't it? I don't think I can finalize it as gospel until I do detailed kinematic validation, just to get the zones like dialed in. But yeah, it's good. So that's a little combination topic for you there. Hope you find that informative. Okay, topic. You're like, oh my God. Topic 3, a time of 52 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, there's no way we're going to get to listener questions today. Well, let's see what we can do. All right, topic 3. New sound signature review coming this week. What could it be? Yeah, you're never going to guess. Well, you might guess. It's going to be one of those weeks, man. Total unexpected review, probably, maybe. Or maybe it is expected. I don't know. I never know until I release the data and I watch it percolate. It's going to be interesting for sure. I've written most of it. I need to finish it. I still have a lot of work to do. So it's not done. It's going to be done. I promise. I think it'll be a good one. I think it'll show you what is possible in certain... how do I say this? I think it will show you what is possible in a certain design envelope and what is not. Yeah. And how certain technologies work and how they don't. I think that's what it's going to do. It's going to be good. I think it'll be a good comparison test, to some other stuff that's been tested. So buckle up for that. Yeah, that's actually all I can say because I can't really say any more than that. I'm not even done with the article, so yeah. Topic 4. A time of 53 minutes, 41 seconds. Oh, that's a minute and a half. That's fine. All right, listener questions. Are we going to have time? All right, it's 50. Okay, we're 54 minutes in. Let's do it. Okay. Listener questions. I love it. We'll get a few. Let's see how far we can get. And I love answering your questions. And I love it for a few reasons. I do. I like to answer them for you so you get an answer. But I also like other folks to hear your questions and know that it's okay to ask questions. All right? And just because you have a question, it doesn't mean you're dumb, dude. Like, I don't never think that, please. It's how you learn to ask questions. So there's that, right? And I also like it because I do end up learning stuff. And when I have to think about things, when you ask me something and I'm like, oh, whoa, I don't know, and I got to think about it, it helps me. It helps me learn. It's like, it's good for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, so I got to open the spreadsheet, don't I? All right, Microsoft Excel here. Okay. Let's see. All right, I have them right here. All right, so we left off. Oh gosh, we have so many. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many I can get to. Okay. All right, we'll see. Okay, so last time we're on the third solicitation of listener questions, and last time we did these, we left off on question 162, sub-question 34 of the third solicitation, and the question from this lady or gentleman was, or the postulation was, thoughts on effects of pushing silencer parameters to impractical extremes, diameter and length. You know what? And I went on to say that that was a really good question, and we spoke about how length and diameter would affect silencer performance. Gave some examples of different silencers and what they do differently, etc. So if you want to, you can go back to a previous episode in which I answered listener questions, and the previous episode you would have to go back to the website, go to pewscience.com/podcast. And you can search the show notes there, the search box at the top of the page. And if you search for listener questions, you might be able to find the most recent, or just scroll through the podcast show notes from episode to episode. And as soon as you see listener questions pop up, it'll be in that episode. I don't remember which one it is. Okay, so go check that out. And it's funny. I'm looking at this question and the answer, and I had browsed ARFCOM the other day, and I saw someone ask a question about that. Like they were asking, like, what's next? And people started talking about things, and then some people that I've seen on the forums for a very long time are like, well, I think it should be a big diameter. It should be 3 inches in diameter because everyone has large sites. And I think this, and it should just be short and big diameter. And then I remember the answer that I gave last time we talked. And I was thinking to myself, that guy should really listen to the podcast because he would probably learn something. Yeah. Okay. So let's... Oh, man. Well, go on here. Question 163, sub-question 35 of the third solicitation. What is the ideal 12-gauge double-barrel test host, and why is it the DP12? Laughing emoji. Oh, double-barrel shotgun. This is Riley asking this, huh? This is Riley from HK. Riley works at the Heckler & Koch weapons. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, Riley works for HK. This is an engineer. He's a firearms engineer, and he's a nice guy. He's a PEW Science member. Riley is salt of the earth, really. Been a member a long time. Riley. He's a good man, sharp guy. It's funny. He's Riley. You're gonna be upset with me. I'm not that familiar with the DP12. I have never even shot one. I've never held one. I've seen one on the internet. I know it. And for those of you who don't know, the DP12 it's a pump action shotgun, right? It's double barrel, and it has like this magazine assembly where every time you pump it, it loads from 2 magazine followers. And then when you shoot it, it like shoots one, and then you pull the trigger again, it shoots the other one. And then you can pump it with a pistol grip, or not. Maybe it's not a pistol grip. Maybe it's just a pump assembly. 1 second. Yeah. So you pump it, and you boom boom, pump it again, boom boom, pump it again, boom boom. So you can control your shot. You can have like a double tap, or like 2 repeated shots without another actuation of the action, the loading action of the pump. And it's a bullpup, but the breech is closed and stays closed until you manually cycle the action. So it's not an autoloader bullpup. You feel me? Because bullpups are stupid usually, but this is not an autoloader bullpup. So it's short, and it's not non-reciprocating. So theoretically, it'd be good for silencer use. Yeah, I mean, like a pump action shotgun is probably. I mean, suppressed shotguns are not quiet, but A pump action is probably a good idea, like a bolt action rifle would be to suppress. So yeah, because the flow restriction from the silencers, it shouldn't impact the weapon operation necessarily, right? I mean, it's going to foul the action faster, but that's to be expected. Man, Riley, I should have you on the podcast. It would be cool to learn about your background, what you do at HK, what drove you to start development of a shotgun silencer like a madman. You're the man. Thanks for the question, sir. I appreciate it, and you're both a gentleman and a scholar. Even though you are promoting you knew I would talk about it, therefore promote your product. You sly devil, you. That's okay. I wouldn't have talked about it unless I liked you. So, okay. Very good. Very good question. Okay. Next question. Question 164, sub-question 36. Can you max out the ear rating of a semi-auto by adjusting the gas alone to delay unlocking? Or will you get additional unlocking delay by using a heavier buffer or a modified bolt carrier group? Oh, boy. You're asking holy grail questions, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Okay, let's think about it. Let me repeat it in a different way. All right. So you're asking if you can lower the ejection port signature to the lowest severity possible with minimal gas, or do you need a minimum reciprocating mass to do it? I don't know. I actually don't know. The reason I don't know is because I haven't done the experiment. Maybe we can talk through it. Let's try to talk through it. Okay. So, Okay, so after you fire the weapon, the bullet leaves, and then eventually the inertial resistance of the carrier and the bolt and everything is overcome due to the gas impulse or the piston impulse. Piston impulse is also gas impulse, just through a piston instead of the pure gas through the tube. So that's gonna unlock the bolt so it can start traveling rearward. The carrier is already moving. Yeah, it has to. It has to move to unlock the bolt because the cam pin has to traverse the path in the carrier, or the carrier has to move and let the cam path be. The cam pin be at a different position within the carrier. It's all relative depending on what you think is stationary, what's moving. It's your reference point. But the carrier starts to move. Yeah, that's the key here. The carrier starts to move. Now, the bolt's still locked. The bolt's still locked in the barrel extensions. But if the carrier's moving, the buffer has to move because it's touching it. And that means the spring is compressing because it's touching it. So you're doing all of this only with gas impulse from the tube of the piston. So there's a baseline level of gas that is able to do that for a given spring weight and buffer weight and carrier weight. There's a baseline level of gas. Baseline level of gas impulse has to for a given spring weight, buffer weight, and carrier weight. It has to be, right? Nothing else is involved yet. So once you get to the end of that cam pin path, though, when that carrier is moving, your bolt's gonna have because your bolt rotates, right? As that carrier is moving back, it's the cam pin is forced to move because the cam pin path is in the carrier is not straight, right? It's angled. So that pin's gonna start to move, and that's gonna start to rotate the bolt, and so the bolt. When you get to the end of that path, the bolt will have rotated enough to unlock from the barrel extension. Now, all bets are off. Now the momentum can be completely free to push the entire assembly rearward. So the question is, how long did you stay locked? How much momentum remains to push? And what was the initial momentum to unlock? Like, what was the initial momentum to unlock enough to actually get it unlocked and transition into the next phase of kinematics? It gets complicated, really. So what can we do? Well, if we lighten the buffer, the carrier can travel back more easily, faster, and you unlock sooner, right? So you could reduce the gas too. So you could reduce the gas impulse if you made the buffer lighter. Maybe you'd unlock at the same time if you got lucky. What would happen if the carrier is already moving and you don't have enough gas impulse to keep it moving? Yeah. Does it have enough momentum to keep to keep moving enough if the buffer's too light? See what I'm saying? So you have this give and take. And you can dial down the gas, but you have to fight spring force and inertial and mass, inertial resistance. And if you dial down the resistance of mass and spring, and you don't want to unlock too early, so you dial down your gas too, do you really have enough gas? What if you have enough gas to unlock, but then it comes time to chamber a new round? Do you have enough forward momentum to do that reliably? No. See, there are all kinds of things that happen in the rear and return stroke, man. That rear stroke, that return stroke, it's not just moving, unlocking. And this is a really good question. And, competition shooters, I think, oftentimes use really light bolt carrier groups. And they dial the gas down. And I guess the thought is that if they have less moving mass, there'll be less recoil impulse. So they're trying to dial the gas down, but they're not worried about sound. And they're not worried about silencers and back pressure either. So that's different, right? Because the silencer is going to increase your dwell time. So, not to get too far up topic here, but you do know, right, that the ejection port signature from an AR is not the only thing influencing your ear as the shooter, right? You know that. You know it's not only the ejection port. Remember the bolt action reviews? Remember that the sound still got to your ear? Same thing with an AR, guys. Even if the AR didn't cycle, you'd still get dosed by the muzzle signature at the shooter's ear, right? So always remember that, okay? Now, that's not to say tuning an AR can't pay dividends, okay? Tuning an AR can pay dividends. Now, how many dividends can it pay? And how and why? And which dividends will it pay you? What will the deposit slip look like? No, we'll have to find out. This is one of those holy grail questions, guys. It's because it's gonna be, it's. There's a lot more involved than what you're asking, and different AR platforms are different, and I think there's gonna be a reliability thing in there with feeding and fouling. So I can tell you, this is just anecdotal, but I can tell you, I have never experienced anything like the Surefire OBC on a machine gun for reliability. Like in an AR. That thing, I challenge you to make it malfunction. I challenge you. And that thing's heavy. It's the same weight as a mil-spec plus H3. And if you went just to a regular carbine buffer in the same machine gun and a mil-spec carrier, dialed down the gas because you didn't need as much, would it be as reliable? Is that a function of gas or is it a function of the actual type of carrier? And some other stuff too. It's with regard to feeding, it's a good question, man. And I know you're talking about sound suppression rating at the ear, but I think you want to minimize the duration of the gas pulse out of the port. So you want to keep the carrier closed as long as you can. That's what I think. I think you want to keep it closed as long as you can. I think that's your answer. And how you do that, I think you could do both methods you're asking. And I think it might depend on the gun. But we should figure that out. I should figure that out. I don't think it's not straightforward. Okay. How are we doing on time? Hour and 10. All right, we're an hour and 10 minutes in. I got another topic to go through. Let me take a look at these other questions, see how long we're going to... Okay, I'll do one more. This is a good one to end on anyway. There's a lot, but I don't think we have time today. I'm going long today. And I went really long last time. Okay, last question. Question 165, sub-question 37. So far, with the 5.56 testing, any reason to worry about a titanium suppressor's durability on the AR? Yes, absolutely. Not with necessarily the sound testing, but with my own internal testing, absolutely. I've already started to erode the CGS Helios QD-TI, the blast baffle. I have. How you may ask, was I able to erode it? Well, I wanted to see how hot I could get it. I wanted to see how hot I could get the Liberty's Defense silencer cover. So I put it on the QD-TI, and I did a bunch of mag dumps without letting the silencer cool in full auto. Yeah. I got the cover hot. Boy, howdy, did I get that. I turned that cover brown. It was black. It is now a lot of it's brown. I turned it brown. Titanium silencer. Oops. The erosion isn't bad at all. It's really not. And the only reason I could tell is because I used a borescope to really look at it closely. I could tell it's starting to erode at the mouth on the leading edge a little bit. And that's direct thread. So I would say lesson learned there. I think if you're going to be an idiot and do what I did, you might want to use a brake of some kind. But honestly, I don't know if that would help or not, because I haven't tested it. And the reason I don't know if it's going to help is because the bore of the QD-TI is so big. And a lot of you don't understand this, and you're really excited about this silencer, which you should be. I mean, it's a good silencer, but you're like, oh my God, it's the best 5.56 silencer. I'm like, is that what you think? Like, it's, you know that you can shoot 338 through the Helios QD, right? I mean, don't. I mean, you shouldn't. You're not supposed to, but you can. If your gun's aligned, if your silencer's aligned right, if your mount's aligned right, you could shoot 338 Lupua Magnum through the QD-TI, through the Helios QD. So that helps erosion a lot because it's a huge bore. It's going to help the erosion. Now, if the bore was tighter, being titanium, it would probably erode a little more. Any metal, actually, it would erode a little more. It's pretty good right now. So yeah, your question is, should you worry? I mean, I said yes, but at the same time, I mean, probably not so much with this silencer. Probably if you did the same thing with a Nomad TI, which, by the way, is an excellent silencer, but yeah, you do that same thing I did with the Nomad TI, you're gonna have a bad time, dude. You're gonna break it. I promise. I'm not sure that silencer could take as much abuse as the QD-TI. I think that's pretty well known at this point. I think even Dead Air says that. So I think that if you're gonna put a titanium silencer on an AR, do it with one that can kind of take it, like, I don't know, the CGS or the Dominus from Thunder Beast, or, oh, by the way, I will be getting some Dominus data to you. Stay tuned for that. Don't think I forgot about it, because I didn't. But yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't worry too much. about titanium on an AR, especially if you're not like. In fact, I would put a Nomad TI on an AR. Frankly, if you're just gonna be like, especially if you're gonna be hunting with it, are you kidding me? All day long, dude. The Nomad TI is super light and it's good. Do it, and that silencer weighs nothing. Do it. Nomad TI is a great silencer. It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to win any wars, but it's definitely good. And I wouldn't worry too much about that unless you're going to be pushing the firing schedule to be higher than you should. Follow manufacturer directive. Okay. I'm going to highlight that question. I don't have the time or the energy to go on today, but I know that was only a couple of questions, but we'll do more next time. Okay. Save that. Close that. All right. Topic 5 at a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 46 seconds. Yeah, this was a good one. I just did a podcast with the chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear art folks, CBRNart folks. They're cool. They have a show called the Art and War podcast. I'm on episode 22 of that podcast. I am. We recorded it a couple weeks ago, and they just published it. They're wonderful folks, and it was a wonderful experience. So yeah, I encourage you to go check them out. You know, they're great guys. Mitch and Nathan are the hosts of that show. Mitch is a former military, former U.S. military, and Nathan is current Canadian military. Nathan is the dude who drew the PEW Science guy. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he's so nice. Both of them are, and they had me on their podcast a few weeks ago, and they just published the episode this past Sunday. Yeah. So if you've never listened to their podcast, it's a little different than this one. Now, first of all, I will say listener discretion is advised. We use language that's not appropriate for children on that. So just for example, okay. So if you listen to this podcast with your family, like my podcast, that's great. And that's my intent. I'm trying to make this as accessible as I can to everyone. I think it's important. And I realize that with that comes certain style. Now their podcast, that is a little different. We had fun. No. But if you're easily offended by strong language, please, it's not appropriate for your audience or you. But regardless, the conversation we had was very good, and I think it shed some light on some of the philosophy behind PEW Science, and I think that's really important. And I think it was great that they had me on, and I was able to kind of speak my mind. And it was actually going on at a very, I would say, tumultuous time in the industry. I think we're still in the middle of it right now. It's getting pretty heated, and so it was good to be able to go on there and speak. And so, you know, those of you who have listened to this podcast for a while kind of already knew all the stuff that I went into on theirs, but maybe not. Maybe there's something you didn't know. So, you know, they have a really cool show in general. They have a lot of interesting guests on. They speak about a lot of interesting topics about gun culture in general. So yeah, go check them out, or don't. It's whatever. And also, I did want to say thank you to all the new members for the support. You know, I think it was that I published the members-only research. I think a lot of people found value in that, and I did notice some new folks join when I published that, and so thank you so much. That is so great of you guys to support the effort, and I realize that some of you probably joined because now you got something for it too, and I get it. Sometimes you want to, you know, sometimes just supporting isn't enough. You want to get something in return out. I'm going to try to give you more, so I understand. So thank you, though. I do appreciate it, and got a couple donations too, so that was really nice. So I really appreciate that, man. You guys warms my heart when you do, and it makes us all worth doing. And I think that you'll like the data that comes out this week. It's gonna probably unique. I think you'll enjoy it. I don't think anyone else in the world will have shown it to you. So I think you'll find value in it, and maybe it'll stimulate some discussion for the industry. I think it'll be good. Okay? Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe out there, friends. And I will talk to you folks again soon.